Hello everyone, my name is Josh and I'm a guide at andBeyond Kirkman's Camp and andBeyond Tengile River Lodge in the Sabi Sand Private Game Reserve in South Africa. So for those of you who watched our video on marula trees, today we're going to be doing something really exciting. I'm going to be showing you how to pot your own tree and grow your own tree. I'm going to be using a whole bunch of small marula trees which I have with me. And this is a really fun activity to do at home. Most of the stuff here you can ask your parents, they may even have some of the things at home already, or you can go to your local nursery and get them there. And growing trees is always important. You know, having different trees around, different plants with flowers attracts a whole lot of different animals and birds to your garden. The whole idea of doing this is that you can grow yourselves a little tree, and when the tree is big enough you can even plant it in your garden at home. So some things that you're going to need for planting your own tree. Most important thing, a tree. So a lot of the trees that you get from the nursery will come in a small sort of plastic cover, protective cover like this. And we're going to learn how to take it from this plastic cover and put them in a nice pot. So you're going to need a pot. Most pots that you buy from the nursery will come with a hole or a few holes at the bottom. This is for drainage of water, and I'll tell you more about that just now. But you're going to need a pot. What else? Some rocks. So also maybe from your garden if you have any, or your driveway. Ask your parents first. Or also easily you can easily get those from the nursery. A can of water, crucial. Standard issue spade. I have something else that's quite nice here, some plant food which you can also get from the nursery. It's in liquid form, and you can pour a little bit of this into the water before you water your plant. And then of course you're also going to need some soil. So I have with me two different types of soil. The one on the right here, so your left, is quite fine. This is going to go on top. And the one over here is more coarse, so there's more rocks in it. And this will go underneath. Alright. So something else that you can use if you have available at home, and if you don't want to go out and get a pot like this, is you can actually reuse some of the plastic you might have at home. I use a lot of any plastic I can find lying around. I reuse it. It's really good for the environment that we're not tossing this plastic away, and we're in fact finding ways to reuse it in the household. So for example, this is a tree, a marula tree that I'm growing in a little plastic container. It's an old water bottle, and I've just cut the top off of it. You can ask your parents to do this for you, and then you can also ask them to punch little holes in the bottom of the plastic bottle, which will allow for the water to seep out, and also to allow air to come into the soil, which is also important. This is the tree we're going to be repotting today. Okay, so what else are we going to need? I think that's everything. Yes, great. So the first thing we do is we put the rocks in here. So to explain why the rocks are there and why drainage is so important, the reason for that is you want the water to seep through the soil and then to get to the rocks, and then any extra water that the plant doesn't need or doesn't use will come out through the bottom of the pot. But it will only do that if there's rocks underneath. If you don't have this nice drainage system, a lot of the water will get trapped in the soil, and too much water is not good for the plant. It can cause the roots to actually start rotting away. And that may be what has happened to my plants here. So you see, these are some baby marula trees. I'm going to move them into a slightly bigger pot soon. Some of them don't look too happy. And if you look over here, this dark stripe across the side of the container is algae. And there's just been too much water in here. And I don't think it's good for the plants. They don't look too happy, so I'm going to have to move those. And that's what happens when the drainage is not good enough. So the first step, put a bunch of rocks in the pot. You want quite a nice layer of rocks. There we go. Next up, we need to put the coarse soil in. So eventually what you're going to have is rocks, coarse soil, fine soil, and your tree on top with the roots down here. And this means that the water will fall on the nice fine soil, slowly make its way down to the coarse soil where it can then flow through if the tree doesn't want to use it or doesn't need to use it. So next up, we put coarse soil in. You can use a spade to do this, or just use your hands, that can work as well. Alright, now that we've got the coarse soil in there, we want to gently take the tree out of its previous container, making sure that we don't damage the branches or the leaves, that we don't damage the roots. There we go. There. How beautiful is that? So you've got all the leaves on top, the main stem over there, and then the root system, which is going to go into the bottom of the pot. So we probably want to try and plant soil up to about there, so that all the roots are underground. So we may just dig a little hole there. Okay, that should be good. This next part I'm just going to use my hands, because you have to hold the tree upright whilst you put the soil around the bottom. There we go. Great. Once there's enough soil around the tree, it can stand on its own. And now we can just pour that in. Alright, there we go. So, we're actually almost done. And now what you can also do is just to make the soil nice. Don't press it down too much. You don't want to compact it. Otherwise the water won't flow through it and there'll be too much water around your plant and your plant will rot, as we spoke about earlier. So just push it down a little bit. And then if you have some more rocks left over, I think it's quite nice to decorate the plant. So I've got these nice round pebbles, if you would call them those. And I'm just going to put them around the tree. There we go. The pebbles and rocks are also quite nice to have on top, because when you water the plant, sometimes the water hits the soil and makes like a few holes. And if you have the rocks there, then you can pour the water onto the rocks and it doesn't damage the soil. Put a few of those around here. This is probably the most artistic I've ever been, putting rocks around a tree. Alright, great. Now our watering can is almost full, and I've actually already put a little bit of this plant food in, so I'm not going to put any more. You don't want to feed it too much. And then you just pour a little bit of water in. It's always nice to water your plant right after you move it from one pot to the other, just to give it a little bit of water and some nutrients. And there you go. So I can't wait to see what you guys come up with, the plants that you choose to plant, and the pots that you get as well. Yeah, can't wait to see the pictures of those. So remember, you can get all of the stuff. I mean, maybe you have it at home already, but you can get it from your local nursery. And hopefully one day the plant that you put in the pot, you'll be able to put in the garden, and it'll grow into a big tree.